Hi, friends. As we journey through 2022, I want us to look at the greatest sermon ever preached. It is so encouraging. I'm referring to the Sermon on the Mount, Matthews 5 through 7, beginning with the 9 Beatitudes. Before we get there, I got a question. Can anything good come from bad years? If you notice the Time magazine cover at the end of 2020, they actually took the X out, which was normally reserved for people like Hitler, bin Laden, and other terrorists. And they put the X over 2020, declaring it to be the worst year ever. And so when 2021 started, many people cheered and we said, it's going to be a great year, except 2021 also was described as the worst year ever, only earning a quarter star or a half star out of 5. Terrible time, would not recommend. And that brings us to who I really want to talk to today. 2022 has some of the same stuff as these other 2 years. I have heard lots of stories of people who are facing significant challenges. This message is for you. I know a family member who bought a property and wanted to put a house up, and now the materials are twice as much and they're stuck. I know someone who is facing significant health problems, others with family members with significant health problems, financial issues, job issues, and the list goes on and on. And so when we look at all of these things, where is the hope when it feels like we are just on our back? Look at Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit. What do they get? Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. That's what the poor in spirit get, the kingdom of heaven. Now, when we look at what blessed means, this is a little bit surprising to us. Blessed means being fortunate or happy because of circumstances. People who win the lottery think they're blessed. People whose jobs are going great think they are blessed. And the Bible does describe people with wealth and with prosperity as being blessed. That's not what Jesus is talking about here. He's talking about something far deeper and far more important. So if you are on your back and you are struggling, I am so sorry. But I want to let you know that you're in a position where you can gain the whole kingdom. Let's look at what poor in spirit means. What does poor in spirit mean? Poor in spirit means that someone who is not spiritually arrogant. When we think of spiritually arrogant people, we think of the religious folks, the Pharisees, the people that if they ever smile, their face might crack. It's the opposite of the poor in spirit. It's the opposite of people who see themselves as insignificant, having nothing more to give, being desperate. The good news is that Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is for you. The opposite of poor in the spirit is contrasted by Jesus in Matthew 23, verse 13. This is a scary part. I want us that if you're facing tough times, I want us to embrace this because it's so rich. But there's a warning. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Look what they do. They don't gain the kingdom, but rather you shut the kingdom of heaven in people's faces, says Jesus. The question that I wonder about here is if the people that are full of pomp and position and really feel like they have arrived and they know it all, it's similar to what we talked about in Psalm 1. Can they become poor in spirit? Can anyone become poor in spirit without going through something significantly painful? I have my doubts. The verse goes on and says, you neither enter yourselves nor allow those who would go in. One of my favorite singers is a guy by the name of Rich Mullins. He passed in the early 90s. And one of his songs is called Hold Me, Jesus. And one of the things he says, which I think you can relate to, especially if you're trying to go through difficult stuff, surrender don't come naturally to me. And rather than looking to the one that says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest, we fight God. And he puts it so well. I'd rather fight you for something I don't really want than to take what you give that I need. If you are finding yourself in a place where you're suffering and it's very difficult, I first want to tell you that I am so sorry. I wish that were not the case. I wish you weren't on your back. I wish you weren't experiencing significant difficulties. But what I want to say to you, actually what Jesus wants to say to you, is spiritual poverty puts you in a position to gain the whole kingdom of heaven. And so don't waste it. Look to God, press in, and wait for him to raise you up. That's the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven.